Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning-ish.
Yes, good. Thank you for giving us the 2 minutes a day you are not on television. Uh,
Yeah.
wow, Malcolm, wow. Even for someone like you with your vast knowledge of and experience in all of this, this is just terrifying. And who knows what he's going to say after his "all's good" explanation point. So far so good tweet yesterday out of what is terrifying the entire world this morning, right?
Yeah, I mean, what exactly is so good in this scenario that we should be satisfied with? Uh, I mean, let's just be straight. Iran has finally decided that they were going to pull their punch. They were going to make a nationalistic attack using. I have to say, I'm very impressed that they carried out 22 theater level ballistic missiles, that short range ballistic missiles that they fired from their terrain using their conventional armed forces, and exacted their revenge by poking holes in the middle of the desert and not actually killing any Americans. Because those systems, they have 1,500-pound warheads. They can land within 3 to 30 feet. They had the ability to target the barracks. They had the ability to target the shelters and the air terminals and the aircraft revetments. They didn't. They didn't do that at all, and so they got away with getting their revenge, claiming that they killed between 30 and 80 Americans, which they did not.
Well, but do we
And
know yet, Malcolm?
now,
Have we gotten
yeah,
any? I mean, this is what this ridiculous tweet, as everything he does is ridiculous. We haven't gotten an official account of what exactly the damage is, have we?
right. Well, all I know is from people who are very closely sourced to the Pentagon, who are have seen the battle damage reports. No U.S. service members were killed or injured. That's
Right.
all that matters.
Well, thank
I mean,
God. Right. But
anybody can fix holes in a runway. Just ask the Syrians.
right.
Yes.
So we bombed them, and the next day they had the airport back up.
Yeah.
So same thing here. The Iranians wanted a show of national power, and I have to tell you, rippling off 22 theater level ballistic missiles. These are like Scuds,
Right.
if you guys remember in the first Gulf War, all at once in mass, smacking that base end on end. I've been bombarded before, I've been scudded before, but never by the dozens.
Well, that's
So
what I
that
was
had to
gonna.
have been
That's what I was gonna say. A lot
really
of
bad.
people. Right, Malcolm. I was just going to say is the only one of our guests who has taken incoming missile fire. I mean, just the tone of his tweet, and God forbid what he's going to say today. As you said, people are under attack. Their lives are at risk. No cheerleading. No begging for more attacks. This is serious adult stuff. Pray for those in harm's way because being bombarded with 1,500-pound high explosives are not a game. And people I know said last night on TV, and I know you talked about this too, the difference between missiles and rockets, right? So can you explain
Right.
that to people?
Sure. I mean, for example, the attack that happened at Kirkuk, the K-1 airfield that killed the one contractor and wounded several service members, those were battlefield rockets. That's the things that fly 5, 10 miles. And, they had them hidden in the bottom of a truck, right? I mean, a dump truck, so that when you lift the dump bed, there were 12 tubes, or 20 tubes, and they shoot them off. ISIS and Al Qaeda definitely, and the Saddam Fedayeen from 2003 to 2009, we were getting hit with hundreds of those per day, every day for almost 9 years. So, for those are the kind of things that, they very short range. We can track these things down. What we were attacked with were missiles, like ICBMs, only much shorter range, right? Like intercontinental ballistic missiles. These were short range ballistic missiles, like the Scud missiles that Iraq fired off in the first Gulf War that hit Israel and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. These are designed to really smack you with a lot of high explosives or a chemical warhead, or if you're a country like Israel, an atomic bomb on the end of that warhead. So that Iran has really good missile technology now. They've been working with the Chinese for almost 20 years, and now they have these things, and they have them by the hundreds, and they can really, really hurt us if they want to.
So you obviously talked about Trump saying he's not going to give back the base until they pay us back. So this is the base that was theirs that
Right.
we took
That was what he was talking about,
over.
Al Assad Air Base.
Right.
And it's just mind boggling, the stupidity. First off, we seized that base by force in a war.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to us. it belongs to the Iraqi government.
Yeah.
It's an Iraqi base. It still is an Iraqi base. We just use it, but we use it with such impunity that we think it's ours. This is where Air Force One lands, by the way,
Yeah.
when Trump does his surprise visits to Iran. I mean, to Iraq,
Iraq.
because it's such a huge, massive base. I think it's 25 square miles, and most of that is empty desert. And the reason it's empty desert was that's the perimeter we pushed out so that people wouldn't use those little battlefield rockets and mortars on the base, right?
Yeah.
But you can't protect it against it when missiles are coming from, being launched literally from Tehran,
What?
and smacking into
Yeah.
your base.
And Malcolm, what is your take in all of your years in Navy service? This that they sent a letter by mistake to Iraq, it translated into Arabic that says
Oh my
we're
God.
withdrawing.
No, there was no mistake. I mean, I think what happened there was they were following the protocol that they followed in 2009 when the Iraqis asked us to leave the country. You remember?
Yeah.
Remember when everybody said Obama said we're leaving Iraq? No, Iraq demanded we leave.
Right.
We respected their national sovereignty. So, in preparation of that, I think they just went through the paperwork. And then, of course, the Pentagon saw it and realized Trump would go crazy and did that whole, had to bring General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, out to essentially apologize and say that's not the policy.
Yeah.
You know what? The Iraqis have something to say about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is hard to write a more disastrous scenario, right? That we have, united. I mean, we have aligned Iraq and Iran further. I mean, it's just I don't even. I mean, you're generally right about everything. I don't even know if you can tell us what's next. Do you think? Right? Because
Well,
if we had a sane, steady hand in the Oval Office, right, you'd go, okay, let's
I'd like
de-escalate.
I'd like to believe that maybe Trump will do something extraordinary. Maybe he will pull a North Korea here and say, well, now we've threatened you. Let's sit down. Let's meet in Oman, or let's meet some neutral place and let's negotiate a new deal that gets rid of everything Obama does, but is everything Obama said, but it just has my name on it. And
No, exactly.
that's
It
how
seems
he
like that's
does things.
exactly what he's doing. He's trying to beg to basically get Obama's deal back, right? And
Anything
call it
Obama
something
did,
else. Yeah.
he's destroying.
Yeah.
He literally, I mean, his hatred of the black man is just insane.
Yeah.
But anything and that's how he does his base. Remember, he said he's the big deal maker, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. Not at all.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he took it another step up because he's watching Fox News this morning. That's all that's going on. And he's making his decisions based on how popular he thinks he is to the Fox News crowd.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about America.
What does Ainsley Earhart think we
Yeah.
should do? Yeah.
Yeah, what he doesn't care about America. He doesn't care about the health of the service members. He doesn't care about anything other than how it appears to him. Does he look strong? Everyone in the world recognizes this is weakness on a very, very broad scale. If he attacks, then things could get very, very bad. And I usually, when I'm on air, I give extreme examples of what could happen because that was my job in the
Yeah.
intelligence
Yeah.
community
Worst case
to tell
scenarios.
you worse and then back to best. Because if you don't recognize how bad worst could be, then when it hits you, like killing General Soleimani, that's the worst case scenario. When it hits you, then you can't say that you weren't forewarned.
Right. Malcolm, you've said, warned of this on TV and on Twitter. Explain to people what the difference between Iraq and Iran is. You were like,
Oh,
this is madness. They are 85
okay.
million people. Explain their military capability.
Yeah.
Explain, I mean, they're already
Let me
threatening
do this real quick.
and explain why they're threatening to blow up, Dubai and Haifa, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll explain that in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Very simple. The Muslim world, all 1.5 billion Muslims, are divided pretty much into two major sects. Sunnah, which constitutes 85% of Muslims around the world, and Shia, which constitutes 15% or less. Some estimate between 5 and 10%. But they are a minority sect and have been a minority sect for about 8 centuries. The Sunni Muslims are the ones, Saudi Arabia, every other country. Shia Muslims are almost predominantly in Iran, Iraq, southern Lebanon, eastern Arabian Peninsula, like Bahrain and Qatar and those places. The Sunni Muslims hate the Shia Muslims because of their different confession. They're still all Muslims, but this is where ISIS, when they came and took over Iraq, which is 75% Shia Muslim, were just summarily executing every Shia they found on the road, right? By the
Hmm.
thousands. They just executed them because they were saying, you're not a Muslim as far as we're concerned. Iran is 100% Shia Muslim. Iraq is 75% Shia Muslim. Lebanon is 50% Shia Muslim. Iran is supporting these states with political guidance, with economic support, with military support, and operations with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Soleimani had come to Iraq to organize 500,000 man militia to defeat ISIS because the army just couldn't do it. And he did it. He helped do that. And that's what these militias and popular mobilization movements are. But those people are motivated by their religion. They're Shia Muslim. So when you go around killing other Shia Muslims, they get angry, right? And
Yeah.
they fire rockets at you.
Yeah.
In this case, Iran, the state, is now firing rockets or missiles supporting the objectives of their Shia crescent from
Right.
Yemen all the way down to southern Pakistan in a big arc.
Yeah.
They're projecting power.
Between Iraq and Trump and what's happening in Iraq, I just hope no one ever votes for a Republican again, but that's just my pipe dream. Let me ask you, what do you think Putin's doing unexpectedly over in the Middle East? All
God.
of a sudden?
It's not just Putin.
What's his what's his aim here with
Did you notice the Chinese showed up in Baghdad
yes.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
day after the attack, and they said, that the if you're having difficulties with the United States, we would be willing to take over defense support with Chinese weapon systems, Chinese command and control, Chinese communications.
Yeah.
China already
They-
has
they can
three
tell him
major
Trump-
oil fields in southern Iraq.
Right, they can tell him Trump doesn't know what he's doing from the trade war. It's like,
Oh.
let me tell you how you handle this idiot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
No,
really,
this is incompetence, and Russia is doing the same thing. They went to Iraq and offered them the same air defense weapon system that they offered Iran and Turkey. Russia is eating our lunch. They are like, the poor kid down the street who, sneaks into the rich kid's house and, literally goes on the dining room table, eats the lunch, comes back, and you don't know
yeah.
why the food's
But
gone.
does he even know that Iran and Russia are aligned and they are not our allies? I mean, it's just he listens to Putin. So what's Putin going to tell him to do here?
Let me tell you,
That benefits once again Putin and Russia.
This is a massive economic recalibration of the world where China and Russia are working in alliance to take over our markets, and we're surrendering them to them out of racism. Africa, we're completely out of Africa, right?
Mhm.
China owns Africa, has turned it into a farm for Chinese consumers. Russia is now going in for heavy mineral extraction in Africa. We're pulling our troops out of stopping Al Qaeda and ISIS in Africa. So, I mean, China and Russia have figured out that the Americans can't think beyond the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
When in fact, whoever the next president is, he needs to come in with a strategic policy on how democracy will push back and we will economically limit these competitors around the world.
Yep.
But that takes some thinking.
Yeah, Malcolm.
So that ain't going to happen soon.
Yeah, real quick. So, first of all, is Iran done? Secondly, as somebody that got, unfairly targeted, as you usually do, because you were talking about the security nightmare of having Trump properties all over the world, and of course the right wing accused you of, encouraging the bombing of, Trump properties, which is of course not at all what you said. You're a national security analyst.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, they said a couple days ago, our beef is not with the American people; it's with Trump. They published a list of his properties. What is this? What was that for, and what do you think's happening with that?
Well, first off, let me address that issue from 2 years ago. These idiots out there were saying, I said that Trump's property could be attacked in Turkey. It's owned by Turks, right?
Right.
It's owned by a Muslim conglomerate,
Right.
but it's very close to where the bad guys are.
Right.
And they came out and they were like, you're a member of ISIS and you're telling ISIS to attack Trump Tower, Istanbul. Then it morphed into attack Trump Tower. Then it morphed into, these guys can't read. They don't know what counterterrorism means.
Yeah.
They're just stupid. But it's all true. However, now that Turkey is, essentially benefiting from the stupidity of this president. Nothing's going to happen at that building.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they need
Aye.
this guy nice and calm and dismantling the world order so that they and everyone else can benefit from our stupidity. This is just one of the worst eras in American history.
Yeah,
We're just, it's the anti-democracy era
Yeah.
of Americanism.
Oh, absolutely. Real quick, Malcolm, you know I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as I always say, although Nance's law, coincidence takes a lot of conspiracy.
Takes a lot of
I'm
planning.
sorry. Yes, coincidence takes a lot of planning. But the fact that we're in the middle of impeachment for the Ukrainian situation and provoking war with Iran, and a Ukrainian aircraft just went down
Yeah.
yesterday in Iran, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that is just an accident.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
and they happen. Would have happened anyway, because there was obviously mechanical that crashed into the apartment buildings nearby. So it's not like it was shot down or anything.
Yeah.
But those things happen. It's like TWA 800 after 9/11, right? It was
Yeah.
just a mechanical thing that happened at an unfortuitous time. However, this attack and killing Soleimani and all of that, way too convenient for my taste. I
Yeah.
mean, that is where Nance's law should be applied there.
Yeah.
Now he wants to come off as wartime president. When Bill Clinton did this in 1998, the intelligence was solid. We had a 3-hour window to kill Osama bin Laden, and we pumped out 75 cruise missiles to hit him at that base in that box.
Yeah.
So Clinton was lucky. This was a choice for them to go after Soleimani.
Yeah, as a lifelong
Personally.
intelligence professional, you must be relieved that you are no longer a deep state saboteur,
Yeah.
but a very prescient.
But a loyal patriot.
Yes. All right. Malcolm, thanks long as usual. Love you, honey. Talk to you soon.